So when it comes to healing ME/CFS or chronic fatigue syndrome, I can proudly state that we cracked the code. We did it. And the truth is spreading like wildfire. A few years ago, the topic was highly controversial. Influencers didn't even dare to talk about it. But now they do. So let's go back to the very beginning. I had ME/CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome, myself for many years, and I read a lot of theories. And one of the theories that I enjoyed reading was TMS from Dr. John Sarno, the mind-body connection. Have you ever heard of this? But in his books, he was speaking more about pain, and I had to deal more with fatigue and vertigo and other symptoms. So I was very insecure whether it actually applies to chronic fatigue syndrome or not. And in his books, there was a story of a woman called Helen. And Helen had what he called a spontaneous release. So Helen reconnected with her anger. She started sweating. She became really emotional and angry. And after that, her pain vanished. And Dr. John Sarno stated in his books that this is very rare and probably impossible to replicate. And this is exactly what we have been doing.
Bam, spontaneous release, symptoms gone. And I was like, nah, this is unreal. This is this is amazing.
So behind every symptom is an emotion. If you deal with that emotion in your unconscious mind, then you might become highly emotional. Your symptoms might flare up or increase. But if you go through that, if you feel it through, if you process the feeling, then the symptoms like the fatigue, the migraine, the pain, the nausea, they instantly disappear.
I had quite bad symptoms. I had lots of brain fog and fatigue, felt very weird. And then I did meditation from the release course. And now my symptoms are gone. I feel very calm.
Around 3 months in, I had my first very big release. I hadn't expected that. It was a really rough day, very symptomatic, and within 30 minutes, everything shifted. After a release session, I started to cry, to shake, to laugh, and it felt like my whole system just let go, and I was completely symptom-free after this 30 minutes, and that gave me a really, really deep belief that healing is possible for me.
Plus, when your symptoms disappear, that doesn't mean that your healing journey is over. That doesn't mean that at all. I've never said anything like that. What it does mean is that you probably feel better temporarily, maybe a day, maybe 2 days. You'll notice that your body calms down, you enter the rest and digest phase of the nervous system, your mind quiets down, and it's easier for you to enjoy life. And you might still have some limitations, it might still be hard to do certain exercises, but the symptoms are mostly gone. Then, after 1 or 2 days, the symptoms will probably come back, or a different type of symptom, and that's exactly what we want. Because then you can deal with the next layer. So I see chronic fatigue syndrome or ME/CFS and actually most other chronic illnesses as a purging period from the body in which the body wants to let go of stress. Stress is resistance, it's resisting old emotions, it comes with a lot of thoughts. So for me, this means that the body wants to go to homeostasis. The body wants to go into a good state of being. After years of stress and survival mode, it's just time to shed layers of stress. It's a good thing. But there are more than just one layer, you know? There might be thousands of layers. But does that really matter? Because after every release, you're just gonna feel good for a while. And then the next day, the symptoms might come again, or maybe 2 days later. But then you just repeat the process. And sometimes you will manage to release the symptoms and the emotions, and sometimes you won't. There isn't any pressure because there's nowhere to arrive. You've already arrived. Your body has already started this phase, And now it's just the question, like, how good can you release the underlying emotions? If you put pressure on yourself, then it doesn't work, because then you put pressure. Pressure was basically the reason why you were stuck in the first place. So it's all about being gentle, being kind towards yourself. And also accept that for a lot of people, it's really hard to, especially in the beginning, to manage a release. Maybe you'll release part of the emotions or you release other emotions. But as long as you are still releasing, you're going to improve. Even if you don't experience an immediate dissipation of your symptoms, over time you will notice that you feel lighter, more joyful, more in the moment. Sometimes people say as well, after doing this for a while, that they feel emotionally very good, but physically they still have symptoms. And I've been in that phase as well myself. Like, I felt emotionally very good. And for me, that was just a plateau before I was really able to go into the deeper problem, like the deeper emotions, the scarier root behind everything. So after that phase, I was in that phase for like 6 months myself, and a lot of people are in that phase for a longer period of time. Then there is enough safety, there is enough presence to actually go deeper. Some people are saying that we are hunting too much for emotions, and this is not what we're doing, because we're trying to initiate the spontaneous release. So we don't need to really search for the emotions. Instead, we need to be with what is already there. But sometimes the mind is just too active, so you can't really feel it. You can't really deal with it. It's also already in the body. You can feel the emotional tension once you really tune into your body. But as long as you're tuned into your symptoms, and if you're really in a state of overthinking, then it becomes really difficult. So in the beginning phase, we sometimes have to trigger clients into connecting with their emotional stress, their emotional body. But we also did that because when we started doing this 5-6 years ago, no one believed us. The idea that chronic fatigue syndrome was related to emotions was ridiculous. And a lot of people were like, no, I don't want to follow this guy. A lot of influencers were like, no, I don't want to touch my hand on this subject. This is too volatile. I don't want to risk hate mail or lose clients, etc. As a team right now, we have coached probably more than 1,500 clients. And this is the way that it works. This is the way what we're doing. If some people are not like, no, we don't want to do this, well, this is the way that we do it. And we do it because it works and because of experience. And it doesn't mean that it's perfect. It doesn't mean that at all, because we still do whatever we can to improve. It's been a continuous road of improvement in the last 5 years. In the beginning years of doing this work, we basically dealt mostly with people who were ill for over a decade. That was also because we worked for free. We had to be humble. These people were generally not very rich because they have spent all their money on thousands of treatments. And at the moment, we're mostly dealing with young people who are relatively new to this experience of having a chronic illness. And these groups, although they have the exact same problem, almost couldn't be further apart from each other. The first group already gave up lots of aspects of their personalities, but have a really negative wiring related to their symptoms. And for the younger group of people, it's exactly the opposite. So we're trying to do whatever we can to make sure that this works for everyone, despite all the differences in people's traumas or in the length of having the illness. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, and I wish you a beautiful healing journey.